Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Call of Duty's, track record the past couple of weeks or past couple of months has not been the greatest, to say the least, right? They've made a lot of errors, a lot of mistakes in the eyes of the player base, and today I wanted to break down some pretty wild things that Call of Duty has done and what it kind of means going forward, which is concerning, to say the least. This largely has to do with their recent announcement that Warzone 1, aka Warzone Pacific or Warzone Caldera, is being shut down towards the end of September this year. This is kind of an unprecedented situation because we've never really had a full-on Call of Duty title shut down outside of Call of Duty Online, which was region specific and never really made it to a worldwide launch, even though it would have been very, very cool for what it was. Anyways, I digress. You look at, the old Call of Duty games. Say you wanted to jump on Modern Warfare 2 2009 on your Xbox 360 and play some multiplayer. You might spend 25 minutes searching for one match of free-for-all or team deathmatch, but you will get into a match because that game is still active. Well, I shouldn't say active, but it's still available. That's a better word. And it's still, supported with servers. You can play online. If you wanted to go back and play World at War on Steam, I probably wouldn't recommend it because it's probably hacked beyond belief, but in theory, it's supported. All of these old Call of Duty titles that, might at any given point have 30 people online, Black Ops 2 on the PlayStation 3, might have nobody online, but technically the server support is still there. The game is still available to play. Yet, the most recent edition of Warzone is being shut down not even a year after the new version of Warzone is out. Like I said, it's an unprecedented situation because you would think that if this was going to be a thing, that in previous years when MW2 2022 drops, they shut down Vanguard multiplayer. When Vanguard dropped, they shut down Cold War multiplayer. But that's just not the case. So the reasoning behind this is confusing, to say the least. Is Warzone 2 actually that threatened by Warzone 1? Because let's be honest, what Warzone 1 is now is a shell of its former self. Warzone Caldera is the most disliked and, unappreciated version of Warzone 1. The map, Caldera itself, was not really enjoyed like Verdansk or Verdansk 84 was. There is no resurgence, so there's no rebirth, which everyone wants back, and there's no Fortune's Keep, which is, in my opinion, was a very underrated map. It's just straight up some battle royale options on Caldera. Yes, you can use all your old MW 2019 and Cold War and Vanguard guns. Yes, there is the smoothest movement in Call of Duty history with slide canceling and bunny hopping, and it's very fast paced. The TTK is very balanced. It's still the gameplay that we love of Warzone 1, but the content at hand definitely is not all that popular, and I'd find it hard to believe that just straight up movement in and of itself would be a big enough threat to all of Warzone 2 to say, okay, we have to shut down Warzone 1 because it's taking players away from Warzone 2. At the end of the day, that's still monthly active users that Activision gets to report on its earning calls. It doesn't matter if they're on a 2-year-old game or if they're on the current game, it's still the same number of players on a Call of Duty title at the end of the day. The other option would be that they just want to force anyone that's on Warzone 1 to jump over to Warzone 2. Maybe they think that by shutting down Warzone 1, all those players that are still on that game will say, okay, well now we have no choice, let's just go hop on Warzone 2. That's not the case. I'd say the majority of people on Warzone 1 are there because they don't like Warzone 2, because it doesn't feel like an upgrade. It doesn't feel like a 2.0. It feels like a 0.5 in a lot of ways, right? So straight up canceling it and shutting it down is a huge mistake in my opinion, regardless of how popular Warzone 1 was, just because it's not something that happens with Call of Duty. It's not something we've ever seen, and it takes away options. It takes away the nostalgia, takes away the chance to go back and experience what that game was. But that's not the only thing. You gotta think, Warzone 1, free-to-play title. There are probably thousands upon thousands of players, hundreds of thousands maybe, that jumped on Warzone 1 completely as a free-to-play player. They did not buy Vanguard. They did not buy Cold War. They did not buy Modern Warfare 2019. They only played Warzone 1. They probably went into the store and bought some of the overpriced skins and, weapon blueprints. And guess what? When Warzone 1 shuts down, all of that content is not available to them unless they go and play the multiplayers and buy the $60 game of Vanguard or Cold War MW 2019. And if they didn't buy it in its current year, I can't imagine those players are going to want to buy it now that those are old Call of Duty titles. So all of that content is being removed. Every dime you spent in the store as a free-to-play player is gone. And frankly, even as a paid player, if you bought the multiplayer experiences, that's the only place you can now use those skins. And while they are initially intended for those games, and that's why there's like no legal ground to say, hey, Call of Duty's taking away my skins, technically all those skins are made for multiplayer first, and then they're just ported into Warzone as like a bonus, if you will. But free-to-play players do really suffer here because that's all their paid for content gone, which really sucks. But even more so, this now sets a precedent for the future that, in my opinion, is very dangerous and very annoying as a Call of Duty player. Let's say the situation happens again. For what it's worth, I don't think it will, and I'll talk more on this in just a moment. And as we get into this conversation, by the way, quick reminder, if you're new here, if you like what you see, I got you covered every single day with all things going on in COD, so be sure to hit that sub button. And if you guys enjoy the video, if you guys want to share it around more, drop a like on it as well, would be really appreciated. But let's say in the future, a Warzone 3 drops. Again, I don't think it will, but let's say a Warzone 3 drops. They could then say, okay, Warzone 2 shutting down later on this year, all your skins, everything like that, it's going to be gone unless you want to go play MW2 multiplayer or MW3 multiplayer or COD 2024 multiplayer. In Warzone, it's all gone. Say bye-bye. Now, you know, in theory, what is the incentive to spend money on Warzone 2? Whether you're a free-to-play player or a pay-to-play player, but you spend a lot of time in Warzone, what is the purpose of buying skins, buying bundles, buying blueprints? What's the purpose of grinding out the battle passes or doing the specific challenges to unlock content when technically in 3 years time or however long they want it to be, they could just pull this again and delete Warzone 2. Now that said, as I've been saying, I don't think that's going to happen. Frankly, I don't think there's going to be many new battle royales that drop in the near or even long-term future because it's kind of a, you know, genre that has seen its peak and probably won't peak again. It's probably going to be an extension of what is currently thriving now in Fortnite and, you know, PUBG, Warzone, whatever else, right? But I don't think that a Warzone 3 happens. Frankly, I just feel like Warzone 2 is probably going to be the long-term vision of what Warzone is. But still, that idea, that theory is going to be sitting in the back of our minds saying, what if they do make another one and delete everything from Warzone 2? Like I said, this sets a very dangerous precedent. So these, you know, decisions to delete everything from Warzone 1 and then shut Warzone 1 down, in my opinion, is a big mistake. Not to mention, there's also like Warzone 1 specific stuff. There were like all the various camo challenges for like the Skynet camo and stuff like that within Warzone. That's now not going to be available anywhere. People just grinded that stuff to use it and then have it completely deleted from existence. Thanos snapped out of reality when this shutdown happens. So another mistake. In general, those decisions, very confusing, and I think are a cause for concern in general. Some other things that I feel like I notice frequently that are strange. When we look at the state of the games right now, Warzone 2, DMZ, MW2 doesn't matter. You oftentimes notice that the store issues, if there's a problem with a bundle, you know, not unlocking correctly or the content of a bundle being glitched, that stuff gets fixed right away. And I don't know if it's because it is super easy to fix that stuff. I'm very ignorant when it comes to game dev, but from a public perception, from the public eye, and from the perspective of the player base, when you have the servers being just absolutely terrible for the first half of Warzone 2 and MW2, when you have constant crashing issues or game-breaking XP exploits that go on for weeks at a time and you're not seeing updates to those things, but the second a store bundle gets, you know, broken, that's fixed immediately, it kind of, you know, sets a bad idea of all their priorities lie where they're going to make their money, right? In the store bundles. It's just a weird perspective, and one that, again, I feel like, while it might not be intentional, it very well could be, but while it might not be, you know, definitely gives off the idea that their priorities are very much so set. And again, that's another mistake from at least my POV there, right? Just mistake after mistake, it seems like lately, and it's rough to say the least. Now, we could hope, glass half full, communication improves, headed into MW3, things are a bit more transparent, things are a bit more consistent, but really only time is going to tell there. Either way, I feel like there is cause for concern. This whole shutting down Warzone 1 thing is very strange in my opinion, But regardless, that is going to wrap things up for this one. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and join us ultimately on the road to 1 million subs. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.